Hi, I'm Steve Horton with the Fowlerville News Online. I'm here with Fowlerville Superintendent Rick Heinrich, and we're going to talk a little bit about the budget situation that Fowlerville and other Michigan school districts now face. Hello, Rick.
Hey, good to see you, Steve.
Yeah, in talking with you, right now they're floating a cut. It looks like there's going to be some kind of a cut. What are you anticipating as far as a foundation grant cut?
Well, that number has moved around a little bit. If you remember, just over a week ago, they were anticipating $262 a student. When it came out of committee, that number went to $218 a student. And as of last Friday, we were thinking that that was going to be the number. Well, it didn't end up making it. It had gone back, and they're still working on it. I think it's possible that we're anticipating a cut somewhere between $150 and $220 a student is the number we're thinking at this time.
And that's a foundation grant that you currently have of what?
Yeah, we currently have a foundation grant of $316 per student. That, of course, would take that number below $7,100 per student.
Okay, and you just, on September 30th, did your student count, and though you don't have an official count, what kind of an enrollment you're looking, and I understand it's less than what you anticipated.
Yeah, it's disappointing. We've seen a trend in student enrollment that's been declining for 5 years. This is clearly the worst drop in students we've seen in the last 5 years. And just looking last year at this time to this year at this time, we're down 105 students. So that's going to impact the district significantly.
And your student count total would be?
Our student count total is 2,999.6. There's a fraction in there because some students aren't counted a full FTE. So roughly 3,000 students is where we're at right now.
And we had talked, what was the high point of enrollment for Fowlerville and when?
Well, the high point was about 7 years ago, I believe. I believe the 2004-05 school year, the enrollment came to 3,155, and it had climbed up to that point. That was the high point, and then since then we've seen declines. Some years very minimal. I think that first year was a couple students on average, between 20 and 40 students a year. It's been declining.
Unfortunately, it would be simple if you could just take the 105 and times it by the loss and come up with a figure, but you have a thing called a blended count.
Yeah.
So how does that actually end up impacting you there?
Well, and in this case, the blended count helps us some because the blended count is based on 25% of the blended count comes from our February count, and 75% comes from the count we just had. So that, roughly for this year, I'm anticipating our blended count to be down by about 50 students. Unlike we just talked about 105 student loss, blended count looks like it'll be right around 50 students down from last year.
Where that could really show up, though, is when you do your blending count next year for next year's budget, correct?
Yeah, and it all depends on what happens between now and February. The trend usually isn't a positive one, though. Certain programs, like our Alternative Education Choices program, we may see an increase in the February count. The K-12 regular program, usually that February count will be steady or slightly down from what you get in the first of the at the first of the school year.
In dollars and cents, what are you looking at as far as a loss in revenues?
Well, you combine those two things, and it starts getting close to $900,000 in lost revenue. The combination of the loss of the students as well as that foundation grant. I'm just, when I say $900,000, I'm basing that on, let's say we lost the 218, the number that's been pretty popular out there. At any rate, significant. The district currently has a fund balance of $1.9 million. This past year we were pretty close to balanced. I know, and I'm looking, I've only been here for 6 months, but looking at the history, we've had some leaner years where the budget was down, but in the last couple it's done a bit better. And at this time, I think we're fortunate, we've got some fund balance. However, at this rate, we could easily use up half that fund balance just getting through the 2009-10 school year, the current year.
And in June, you budgeted, so we can put this in context, you budgeted for how much in expenditures?
Well, we were anticipating that we might be at 72.16 or down $100 a student. That was one of our budget assumptions. The other one was that we would lose 60 students in this fall count. That would be down 60 students. The number we're losing is surprising to me because we do have data. We get it's a Dr. Naganovich from Michigan State University that does our projections, has done that for a while. It's something that Mr. Elverson, the previous superintendent, had connected with him. And the data I had for this year had us losing between 40 and 80 students, kind of in that range. The loss of the 100 instead of 60 is beyond the high side of the original projections that we received.
Well, nobody anticipated some of the economic things that have happened to Michigan in the last 8 months, so, or last year, I guess, since.
Sure.
Since,
We're seeing a
Wall
lot of, some of our people that have left the community. One thing we're seeing that's more common is people leaving the community to go live with family. That's been one we're hearing more about.
So you're, in June, you budgeted a total of,
Yeah, we were 25.3, just a.
25.3 million.
Yep, 25.3 million, and that budget, those expenses were about $500,000 over our revenue for this year. So, we were already anticipating not a balanced budget, but with these additional changes, the situation's a bit worse than we had originally planned on.